Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Please go ahead, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. It's the biggest way you can help out the channel, and it gets these videos out to other people. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're YouTube, this is a satire channel, and this is for entertainment purposes only. Now, with all that out of the way, let's see what we got today. We are live.
The Black Pyramid in Alaska. There is a theory that the government holds top secret hidden facilities in Alaska. It's said to be within what's known as the Alaska Triangle, an area spanning hundreds of miles, which is supercharged with electromagnetic energy. It's similar to the Bermuda Triangle in the fact that there have been a lot of strange disappearances. People have disappeared, planes have vanished without a trace, and despite searches, no traces have ever been found. Within the Alaska Triangle, there is said to be a pyramid, first discovered in World War II. It's reportedly twice the size of the Great Pyramid of Giza. The Black Pyramid is buried deep underground in the Alaskan wilderness, somewhere between Nome and Mount McKinley. Apparently, it's guarded by the US military. Speculation on who built the pyramid has brought most researchers to the conclusion that this was created by a lost ancient civilization.
We'll have to get into that a little more.
You're going to want to see this. Stretching off into the horizon, we have one of the largest tabular icebergs currently on our planet. It just keeps going. Something this big is kind of hard to comprehend even when it's right in front of you, but this speaks to how much fresh, frozen water is down in the Southern Ocean. For anyone wanting some perspective, take a look at the birds that are flying next to this thing. It's probably about 200 feet high, and that's just about 15% of what's sticking out of the water. The rest is down below, like an ice wall, drifting through the ocean. Currently heading east toward the South Orkney Islands. Kind of wouldn't believe it if...
Looks huge.
The shocking truth about dolphin-assisted bursts that they do not want you to know. You will want to stick around to the end for this. Now, this is Igor Tarkovsky, and he assisted in thousands of dolphin-assisted bursts. Essentially, what would happen here is the dolphins would take over the birthing process. They would swim around the mother, relax her with sonar, and they would make the birth painless and quick. There's actually a video online of a dolphin-assisted birth, and you can see how quick and painless it was. But just wait, it gets even more mind-blowing than this. There are thousands of testimonials of babies being born under dolphin-assisted births of being far more advanced than the average child. For example, they could talk and walk earlier, they would grow up being the head of their class and having to skip some years of school, and some went on to get full rides at Harvard, and so many more examples. It is hypothesized that during the birthing process, the dolphins heal and boost the systematic function of these babies by telepathically communicating with it. Why do you think it's illegal to interact with dolphins unless at a specific resort like SeaWorld? They're not trying to protect them and trying to keep us dumbed down. Dolphins are the keepers of lost knowledge and healing wisdom. Peace and love.
Interesting.
So, apparently it's a bunch of people that didn't know that it was illegal to talk to dolphins. Let's go and dive in this hole for rabbits. See, now, it is against the law to interact with dolphins unless you are in an aquarium, zoo, theme park, etc. The reason for this is to not protect the dolphins, but to stop humans from developing a connection with mammals that are actually smarter than us. Dolphins have a cerebral cortex that is 40% larger than humans. Then they go along to say that they have knowledge about ancient civilizations like Atlantis and Lemuria. And that left me curious on how can we communicate with a dolphin? In every image that I have seen a dolphin communicate, they use their foreheads. Yeah, like their third eye. And the form of communication that they're using is called ultrasound. Guess who else uses ultrasound to communicate? Isn't that how babies communicate, through ultrasound? And then look at this, can dolphins stimulate brain growth in babies? And see, the scientists in Peru say the squeals and squeaks in dolphins may stimulate the brain in an unborn child. In one aquarium, let their babies line up to communicate with dolphins, because it stimulates the brain growth in babies. Now y'all are kind of getting the gist on why they don't want us to communicate with dolphins. Y'all let me know what y'all think about it being illegal to communicate with dolphins in the comments. Like, follow for more wisdom. Stay tuned. Follow me on YouTube if y'all want that exclusive content. Stay tapped in. And by the way, TikTok, entertainment purposes only.
Let's try to find somebody who has a little more knowledge in this field.
Oh my ocean holds many secrets, and in 1985, just off the island of Yuguni in Japan, some deep-sea divers made an amazing discovery, and you ain't gonna believe what they found. Now, nobody knows for sure who built these, but some people believe they're pre-Atlantean. They even found pyramids down there and other structures. These ruins are estimated to be over 3,000 years old, maybe even older. So much of our ocean is still yet to be explored, and so many more ruins are still yet to be found. The question is, will we ever find them all?
There's definitely a lot of secrets under the ocean.
Dragons are real, dinosaurs aren't what you think they are, and I'm going to explain everything in 3 minutes. First off, dinosaurs aren't dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are just really big lizards, the same ones that live today. But the oxygen content back then made everything a lot bigger. Because it's reduced, everything's gotten smaller. So for instance, the chameleon might actually be the Triceratops. It may seem kind of crazy, but look at all the reptiles, amphibians, and different types of fish. Now multiply them by 20, and you're going to notice that a lot of them look like dinosaurs. Next, paleontologists won't usually talk about this, but they're still finding soft tissue, muscle, and intact blood in these discoveries. If they were millions of years old, this would be impossible. Dinosaurs lived at the same times as human beings, but like I said, they're not dinosaurs. They're not a completely different species that was wiped out by a meteor. That's ridiculous. Next, a lot of these creatures you see in museums where they put all these bones together and said this is a particular species, it's absolute BS. It's all fabricated. Any paleontologist worth their degree will tell you that these are estimations. They have no idea what these creatures look like. Which leads me to my next point, which answers your question. Have you ever heard of Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent? Or the 10 other names of the feathered flying serpent across the world? That was very real, intelligent, could communicate with people, and knew architecture, mathematics, etc. Did you know a bunch of the translations of all of our old gods like the Anunnaki, Elohim, and Yahweh himself actually meant serpent, flying serpent, shiny one, scaly one? Why is it that a serpent comes to the garden and speaks to Eve? Yes, dragons are real. Yes, reptilians are real. There was an intelligent reptile species on this planet that could fly. They also had spaceships, but they could also fly. The whole dinosaur thing is a cover-up for the actual species that exist on this planet and existed on this planet before. They are the native species that became intelligent way before human beings did. In fact, they may have had a large hand in making us. I recommend that you start doing some digging regarding all the things I talked about in this video. You'll get your mind blown, and yes, you'll believe in dragons.
It's a very interesting theory. We'll have to get more into that.
These lands were not made for just us. And certainly not just made by us. After the last reset, and when most of the giants fell, us as the inheritors merely moved into their old buildings, repurposed them as our own. But it's not just the giant doorways that they left behind. There have been many remains shipped off to the Vatican and of course the Smithsonian. And add that to all the images of these 10-foot giants and taller, standing side by side with us little people. This is one conspiracy that is easily proven, unless you're just completely mind-controlled.
Yeah, I'm inclined to believe giants existed at one point. Yeah.
Do we really think this is some sort of dinosaur found off the UK Jurassic coast? Or is it perhaps something else? Something that they don't want us to know exists. Something that rhymes with Kragan. This is supposedly a plesiosaur, and it was found in the cliffs off the Jurassic coast of the UK. And boy, it sure does resemble something else that they tell us is just some sort of mythical creature that they put in movies. And if you're someone that still can't wrap your head around the fact that these guys existed, well, you just haven't seen enough of my videos. So let's do a little recap. Let's first take a look at what the 1946 dictionaries used to say. Dragons, now rare. Let's see what Alexa has to say about this. Alexa, how many dragon fossils have been found in the United States?
The number of dragon fossils found in the United States is limited. Only 5 fossils have been discovered so far, limiting the knowledge about these creatures. These fossils are studied by researchers to learn more about dragon species and their evolution. While the findings are preliminary, they provide insights into the life and times of these majestic creatures.
So the dictionary says they're real. Alexa says they're real. Several weeks ago in the UK, they found a fossil that looked like this, even though they called a plesiosaur. That sure looks like a dragon to me. And just a few weeks after that was found, CNN reveals that their scientist actually unveiled dragon remains. Not to mention how they're part of the Chinese zodiac with all real animals, and how there are over 30 verses in the Bible that reference dragons, and how my friend Lori sent me this amazing 1922 dictionary that just happens to have the word dragon in it. And let's see what it says. Is it going to say fictional character, mythical beast? Or is it going to say something else? Winged serpent. Now the really funny part about all this is I think I changed the algorithm with that last post, because listen to what Alexa says now. Alexa, how many dragon fossils have been found in the United States?
In the United States, there have been no fossils or hard evidence of dragons found or documented. Despite popular belief, there is no evidence to suggest that dragons ever existed in the real world. However, this does not stop people from believing in their existence, and dragons are often used in fiction to create a sense of mystery and wonder.
Entertainment only though, people. I'm sure they would never lie to us about this and cover it up with just another dinosaur story to make sure that you knew that dragons were in the Bible and the Bible was completely legit. Entertainment only.
You know, this is kind of like Tartaria. There's some evidence there that needs to be looked at.
There's a 30-page CIA document that is a step-by-step manual on how to astral project and a bunch of secrets of the universe. They had this since 1983, right in the time for Project Stargate, which allowed these men to remote view, psychically spy at any time period, including the future. And the document also reveals that anybody can do it, but also warns that you might run into not-so-friendly entities. All you have to do is have a pair of headphones and relaxation techniques, and you play one hertz frequency in one ear and a different hertz frequency in the other ear, and it synchronizes the left and the right side of the brain. It also reveals that reality is just a construct of our minds, basically hologram theory. It also reveals that physical matter, there is no physical matter, which this has pretty much been proven with quantum physics. And anybody who doesn't know, we're all just molecules. Everything we touch, that's molecules. Our molecules go into that, their molecules go back into us, and by quantum mechanics, we shouldn't be able to grasp it. We should be able to walk through a wall. So the way he describes it is that all physical matter is oscillating energy grid over oscillating energy grid orbiting at a very high speed. Which is kind of interesting because these 3D holograms that you can touch, that's exactly what it is. These little tiny beads orbiting at a very high speed, so high that you can touch it. You might be thinking, oh, well, that's an actual physical ball though. Well, is it? It's just an oscillating energy grid over oscillating energy grid, tiny little one that makes up the larger oscillating energy grid. It makes up the giant oscillated energy grid that we live in, just a little fractal of it. And okay, so the funny thing about this document, page 25 is missing, which of course was the page that revealed how to obtain consciousness, how to obtain absolution, how to obtain God. So the forbidden knowledge since the beginning, missing for 20 years, and they claim they never had it. And then all of a sudden, like when this stuff pops back up, Vice magazine prints an article about this mysterious, page 25 and the ordeal, and then immediately after, Monroe Institution releases the full.
I'd like to get my hands on the rest of that clip.
I have this poster that exposes every conspiracy theory on the planet. Today, we will decode the truth on the infamous DMT Elves. What exactly are DMT Elves? Well, when people experience a powerful psychedelic trip, especially with DMT, short for dimethyltryptamine, they often encounter these mysterious beings. They're commonly described as mischievous, whimsical, and sometimes even cartoon-like creatures. DMT, a naturally occurring compound found in certain plants and even in our own bodies, can induce profound altered states of consciousness. When consumed in a proper setting, it can transport you to a realm where these entities dwell. People who've encountered DMT elves often describe vivid encounters and interactions with these beings. Some claim that these entities impart wisdom, guidance, or even show them the secrets of the universe. When you are in the presence of an elf, it is crucial to acknowledge that the being in front of you is not a mere illusion, but a tangible inhabitant of a higher dimension.
So essentially, you're just unlocking the door to the dream world.
Absolute proof that we do live under the dome or the firmament. Alright, this was the only unofficial launch to space. Unofficial team try to launch obviously, rocket to space. And what does it hit here? What just stopped it? Here's some more predictive programming for you. Think about it. And this is from the Simpsons movie, as we all know, the truth is always in plain sight. And these are official images from NASA, official guys, one from 2012, one from 2015. Do you notice any difference in the size of the United States of America? Like, use your heads. This is Admiral Byrd. He was the last one to explore Antarctica. Shortly after Antarctica decided to have a treaty, this is the only place on Earth that every country decides that we can't go visit. This is because he found the edge of the dome. Shortly after, the United States launched something called Operation Fishbowl. Yes, Fishbowl. Listen to this. They started launching nukes straight up at the dome. Look at it. It's exploding out on something. This is a bomb exploding up. It's exploding out. Part 3?
For some reason, when people take DMT, they are meeting eyes staring back at them. And these aren't ordinary eyes. They are extremely intense, they feel very real, and in some cases, they even seem to be holding some kind of secret. There are two forms that these eyes will appear as. The first one is where you will see an audience of eyes, so multiple at once. Now, if you're on a low dose of DMT, you might see these eyes in your environment, but normally you'll see these eyes take the shape of a tunnel, or in some cases, they might even be joined together to make up some kind of alien looking figure. However you see them, it doesn't matter, because unlike a lot of visuals, these eyes feel extremely real. I've encountered the audience of eyes before, and it definitely felt like there was no emotion coming from them. I could only sense pure awareness or observation, and I could also feel like they were some kind of audience that had been watching me my entire life and had seen everything I'd ever done. Now, the other form that the eyes will kind of manifest as is what's called the all-seeing eye, and the presence of this all-seeing eye is extremely intense. So much so that a lot of people truly believe this is the eye of God himself when they meet it. And as far as I know, there's only ever one all-seeing eye that you'll see at a time. And even though it also is reported to have like kind of no emotions associated with it and seems to just be aware or observing you, some people will report that they can sense there's like a reality beyond the eye, and that this eye is actually judging you as to whether or not you're worthy to pass through it and access that reality. I wouldn't be surprised if encounters like these actually inspired the Bible description of the angel Ophanim, which is meant to be multiple eyes connected on wheels. And I'm not making this video to say whether it's real or not. I'm just making this video because clearly we need to do something about the heavy regulations on the scientific study of these compounds. I'm not endorsing anybody use them recreationally. There's always the potential for you to lose control over your body and do something you're going to regret. But I do believe we need to be putting in way more legitimate legal research into understanding what is causing these encounters and why we're having them. Follow for more trippy content.
Wow. You know, when we alter our consciousness, whether we're using, LSD or DMT, things of that nature, when we start to alter our reality, I've often just wondered what it is that I'm actually looking at. Like, I'm not condoning this in any way, but growing up, I had experimented with LSD a little bit. Now it's some of the wildest stuff I've ever had. And I don't even think that it's something that you can put into words, just how much it affects your reality. So I can only imagine something like DMT. And like I was saying earlier, I think this is a ticket to the dream world, and it's about as lucid as a dream as you could possibly get in that state. But I've heard mixed things about the machine elves. I know Joe Rogan, he talks about it as if it's some kind of profound experience that we should all try. But I've heard others caution that what you're speaking to is an actual demon, and just because, you know, you found something, another form of consciousness or another form of life, if you will, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be benevolent or malevolent. So you gotta be careful with what you're messing with, right? But that's all I got today, guys. Leave a comment, let me know what you thought of today's clips. We'll get the conversation going, and I guess I'll see you again in the next one. But until then, 80 Canadian, signing off.